I woke up inside a brutal CEO novel, nothing more than the disposable bride the male lead marries for a boardroom alliance. Sickly since birth and a little slow on the uptake. I figured the ruthless titan would loathe me on sight, but my system chirped that if I gave him a child, I'd unlock the white moonlight aura and he'd treat me like his one true light. So on our wedding night, cheeks burning, I stammered that I wanted to make a baby with him. He cocked a brow, said, "Sure," and that was that. I psyched myself up for half the night, lost the battle to drowsiness, and conked out. He spent the hours staring at the ceiling. By dawn the bedroom felt like a cryolab. Around midnight, I was roused by a stifled groan. I sat up to find him shirtless at the floor-to-ceiling window, downing a tumbler of ice water in one go. Curious, I patted over. "How come I don't have one?" He blinked, followed my pointing finger. "Have what?" With the straightest face in Riverdale. I aimed at the rock-hard, moving thing beneath his washboard abs. "That." Dylan froze solid. The glass cracked against the marble sill. In the moonlight, his flawless face blazed crimson from collarbone to ear. He spun so fast the air shifted, snatched the quilt, and cocooned me like a silkworm. Eyes shut. Sleep. His voice was gravel dipped in lava. All I could move were my eyes. I peered out, wounded. "Are you mad again?" His broad back, taut as a drawn bow, faced me. 2 words ground through clenched teeth. "I'm not." He shrugged into a robe and stalked into the bathroom. The shower thundered. "Okay," I whispered, flopping back. Sleep refused to return. My head was crammed with one urgent item, procreation. I poked the system. "Little AI, does he even know how babies are made?" "Only silence." "Then teach me." More silence until a mechanical pop-up appeared. Mission, share a bed with the target. Reward, starter affection crate ×1. My eyes sparkled. When Dylan emerged, I patted the mattress. "Dylan, hurry, bedtime." He paused. "Not afraid of me anymore?" The system said he was merely my objective, not a man-eater, so I shook my head. A soft snort escaped him. He slid in beside me, fresh from the shower, smelling like cedar and ozone. I octopus clamped around him, cheek rubbing his sternum. Fast asleep means instant baby. Every muscle in his body locked. After an eternity, his exasperated growl floated down. "Squirm again and I'm tossing you out the window." Sunlight poured through the glass wall when I woke to an empty bed. System ping. Bed sharing mission complete. Open crate. Open. Item unlocked. White moonlight, beginner's fast track, tip. A heart-shaped Sunnyside up earns husband points. Love breakfast. I cocked my head, climbed out, and barefoot hunted through the cavernous penthouse until I found the kitchen. Inside, Hayes was whisking something fragrant. "Morning, ma'am," she said, bowing. "What are you making?" "Caldwell's breakfast." It looked Michelin level. I swallowed. "I'll do it." Horror flooded her face. "Ma'am, you don't." "I'm fine." "Teach me." 30 minutes later, a blackened blob glowered from the skillet. My attempt at a heart-shaped sunny side up. Hayes clutched a fire extinguisher, eyes glassy with trauma. The vent roared. Still, acrid smoke choked the air. A crisp, cutting voice floated in. Well, who's trying to barbecue my brother's skyline at dawn?" I turned. A girl my age, designer-clad, lashes sharp as blades, strolled in, arms folded. She had Dylan's inky eyes. She inspected the kitchen, then the charcoal egg, and burst out laughing. "Skye, right, my brother's bride. Planning to poison him for the inheritance?" I knew her. Brielle, Dylan's only sibling, photo drilled into my memory by my parents. Ignoring the jab, I poked the carbon puck. Looks, failed. Brielle's smirk faltered. She wasn't used to zero reaction. She rolled her eyes. "Hayes, trash that and remake his breakfast." And, she shot me a warning glance. "Keep the amateur out of the danger zone." Hayes plated a flawless replacement. I sat at the mile-long table, nursing milk. Dylan appeared, suited, radiating boardroom ice. Eyes on his tablet. Brielle plopped beside him, chewing toast. "Bro, mushroom cloud in there, smoke everywhere. She was gonna serve you carcinogens." He didn't glance up. "We don't talk while eating." She sealed her lips and glared. "Lucky you." System ding. Side quest. Gain family patriarch's approval at breakfast. Reward, affection +10. Family breakfast. As if summoned, Dylan lowered his tablet and met my gaze. "Dinner at the Caldwell estate tonight." He didn't phrase it as a question. It was a command. I nodded. "Okay." Brielle snickered beside me. "Skye, I'd behave if I were you. Grandfather's not as easygoing as my brother." I ignored her, busy wondering how on earth I could win the family patriarch's approval. The system chimed in right on cue. "White moonlight crash course, beginner, reminds you, Placing the first choice bite in your husband's bowl is the simplest way to display a wife's gentle virtue. Light bulb moment. So that's all it takes. Evening. The Caldwell mansion blazed with light. The long rosewood table was crammed with relatives. At the head sat a spry, silver-haired man, clearly Dylan's grandfather. Silent. He radiated authority. When his chopsticks stopped, everyone else froze. I perched next to Dylan, palms slick with sweat. He noticed, tilting his head. He murmured, "Don't worry, I'm here." His voice was low, his breath tickling my ear. I blinked, turned, his face was already back to glacial, as if the words had been my imagination. I inhaled, remembering my quest, surveying the spread. I lifted my chopsticks, targeted the glossiest cube of braised pork belly, and, trembling, deposited it in Dylan's bowl. The table went vacuum cleaner quiet. Every eye zoomed to the glistening chunk of pork now lounging among Dylan's white rice. Brielle's jaw dropped far enough to store a tennis ball. Even Caldwell paused mid-serving, observing us with amused interest. Dylan's face darkened at lightning speed. Puzzled, I whispered, "You don't like it?" He didn't answer. The veins on his chopstick hand bulged. Across the table an ant ventured, Skye, sweetheart, Dylan doesn't eat fatty meat. Meat, huh? Crap. The system blared DEFCON 1 inside my skull. I wanted to cry. Whoever coded this white moonlight tutorial was an absolute cabbage head. Just as I braced to be launched chair and all out the window, Dylan, stone-faced, speared the pork. Under universal stare-down, he lifted it, chewed, swallowed, smooth choreography, charcoal expression. I gaped. Caldwell suddenly roared with laughter, shattering the ice. Wonderful. My picky brat finally met his match. Beaming, he praised me. "Skye, I like this girl. Good spirit." The system finally woke up. Ding. Mission cleared. Gain Patriarch's approval at family dinner. Reward, affection plus 10. Ding. Detected severe emotional spike in target. Bonus, affection plus 15. Watching Dylan's stormcloud face, I felt complicated. The ride home was a glacier with leather seats. Dylan drove in silence. Profile taut enough to slice moonlight. I hardly breathed. I started. "Sorry, I didn't know you hate fat." Silence. "Next time No, next time," he cut in. Arctic. I pouted. "I just wanted your grandfather to like me." The car jerked to the curb. He twisted toward me, eyes black holes in the dark. "Skye, you didn't marry me to impress anyone." Cold fury laced every word. "Drop the schemes. Play your part quietly. And don't create problems." My eyes stung. "What problems? I was only following quests." He noticed the tears, frowned harder, yanked a candy from the console and flung it into my lap. "Enough. Stop crying." Still tough, but softer. I stared at the strawberry lollipop. The tears multiplied. He panicked, pelting me with more. "That enough. Plenty left." Looking at the rainbow pile, I burst out laughing. His shoulders eased. He restarted the engine. I unwrapped one, sweetness blooming on my tongue, and sneaked a glance. In the passing streetlight his profile flickered, light, shadow, light, maybe, not so hateful after all. Weekend. Brielle declared she was dragging me to a friend's birthday. I tried to refuse, but the system dangled. Social mission, at high society gala display poise worthy of Caldwell. Reward, mystery prop ×1. For loot. I went. Party venue, a lavish private Avalon. Perfume, champagne, smiles polished to a lethal sheen. Brielle vanished into a swirl of admirers the second we arrived. I commandeered an orange spritz and a corner. System demanded elegance. Silence seemed safest. Soon a pink-gowned woman bore down on me, flute in hand. "Your Skye." Her tone carried the subtle superiority of a customs officer inspecting contraband. I recognized her, Vivian, the novel's villainess and Dylan's self-declared fan club president. I nodded. She laughed, scanning me like a price tag. "Word is the Vance family's almost bankrupt. Sold you to Dylan for a tidy bailout." "Did they?" Stage whisper loud. Several heads pivoted, eyes gleaming. I tightened my grip on the glass, but said nothing, enjoying my silence. She leaned closer, voice syrupy poison. "A pretty empty head. Your only currency. Landing Dylan is blind luck. Nothing more." She paused, savoring the moment. "Don't get comfortable, darling. I know him. He loathes stupid ornaments. Once grandfather's patience thins, you'll be kicked to the curb." I looked up, lashes casting shadow, and slowly smiled. "Finished?" Vivian blinked, thrown by my calm. I raised the glass and poured the orange spritz straight over her immaculate contour. Amber liquid raced down her cheeks, staining the pink silk like a ruined sunset. Gasps ricocheted across the room. Vivian shrieked, frozen in citrus shock. I set the empty flute on a passing tray. Skye, dabbed my fingers with a napkin, and met her eyes. All innocence. Oops. Slippery hand. She trembled, finger jabbing at me, speechless. You psycho. Brielle hurried over at the noise and froze at the scene. Skye, what are you doing? I blinked, giving her my most innocent stare. She cursed me, and she cursed my parents. My voice was soft, edged with a hurt little quaver. The crowd started murmuring. Whatever the backstory, Vivian had insulted the Vance family in public. She was clearly the instigator. Brielle's brows knitted. She knew it too. She looked from me to the disheveled Vivian, unable to pick a side. Suddenly commotion rippled through the onlookers. A tall figure parted the sea of people and stepped in. Dylan. He wore a charcoal gray bespoke suit, shoulders squared, aura lethal. The second he appeared, every gaze locked on him. He strode to me, swept a quick, searching look over my body, and, once sure I was intact, turned to Vivian. His face was ice, eyes sharp enough to cut glass. Who gave you permission to touch what's mine? Vivian quailed under that stare. Tears spilled instantly. Yenshen. I didn't mean to. She threw orange spritz on me first. Dylan didn't spare her another glance. He shrugged off his jacket, draped it around my shoulders, wrapping me in his warmth and scent. Then he laced his fingers through mine, voice softer than I'd ever heard it. Let's go home. I nodded like a good girl and let him lead me out of Avalon under a lattice of stunned stares. The ride back was quiet again, but nothing like last time. The tension was gone. I hugged his coat around me. It smelled crisp, clean, unmistakably him. I sneaked a peek. He was already watching. Our eyes locked and I shyly turned away. Thank you. Thank me for what? He arched a brow. For having my back. He chuckled, freed one hand, ruffled my hair. You're my wife. Who else would I back? If anyone messes with you again, don't be polite, hit back. What if I can't win? I blurted. Then run and call me arrogant. Matter of fact. I'll handle the rest. My heart skipped. System chimey ding. Target affection plus 30. Current level 25. Congratulations. Host. Social task cleared. Reward. Truth serum mist ×1. Item effect. For 10 minutes after spraying, the target says exactly what's on their mind. My eyes lit up reading the description. Back at the Caldwell estate, I offered to make him tea and slipped into the kitchen. I pulled the tiny bottle out, gave the teacup one invisible, odorless spritz. Perfect. Heart hammering. I carried the cup upstairs. Dylan was at his desk reviewing contracts. I tiptoed in and set the tea beside him. Dylan, some tea? He gave a non-committal gaze still on documents. I hovered, willing him to drink. Come on. He finally leaned back, pressing 2 fingers to his temples, then reached for the cup. My pulse thundered. He lifted it, sniffed, paused, and set it down. Dark eyes fixed on me, half amused, half accusing. Skye, what did you slip in here? Blood drained from my face. How could he tell? I didn't add anything, I lied. Voice thin. Really? He rose, closed the distance one slow step at a time. Tell me, what were you planning? I backed up until cold wall bit my shoulder. Tears threatened. I just wanted to know what you really think of me. Oh, a brow lifted, such as, whether you actually hate me. By the end my whisper almost vanished. Silence stretched. Only our breathing filled the study. At last he spoke, low and rough. I don't hate you. I stared. He took another step, chest nearly brushing mine. He bent, breath warm against my skin. Skye, he broke off, features twisting in sudden pain. You. His gaze drilled into me. Who exactly are you? The question hit me like a slap. I'm Skye. I managed. He studied my eyes as though trying to peer straight through me. Finally he gave a bitter laugh, stepped back, widening the space between us. Forget it. Leave. I have work. The familiar chill re-iced his tone. I was ushered out. The door slammed. I stood there numb, thoughts tangled. System alarm warning. Target suspect's host's identity. Proceed with caution. Was he realizing I wasn't the original Skye, or sensing the system? I spent the rest of the night rattled. Next morning Dylan left at dawn, skipping breakfast. Brielle gloated, sis. Did you piss my brother off again? I ignored her. The day dragged. That night he returned drunk. Gait unsteady. Hayes tried to steady him. I rushed over. The mix of alcohol and his cold cologne hit me. He waved Hayes off. Locked his fingers around my wrist. Hard. Skye. My name came out low, thick with emotion I couldn't read. His eyes were bloodshot. Stormy. Tell me, who are you? Same question. Dylan. It's me. You're drunk. I'm not. Stubborn. You're different. You're not her. Before I could process, he scooped me into his arms and strode upstairs. Startled, I threw my arms around his neck. He dropped me on the plush duvet and pinned me beneath him. Dylan, stop. Panic flared. He only stared, anguish spilling over. Why did you have to come back? He muttered. To me or himself I couldn't tell. Do you know how much I hate you? Hate. I was still reeling when his hot mouth crashed onto mine, harsh, punishing, tasting of despair and tequila. My mind blanked. I could only endure. Some endless minutes later, he released me. Breath ragged, brow pressed to mine. Sorry, hoarse, broken. He pushed off the bed and staggered into the bathroom. I lay shaking, split lip throbbing, his apology echoing in the dark. Inside my head, his line kept looping. You have no idea how much I hate you. What on earth was going on? The next morning, I woke up with a full-blown cold. My head felt like cement. My throat was on fire, and I could barely croak a word. Dylan didn't go to the office. He called the family physician instead. After the checkup, the doctor blamed a chill, scribbled a prescription, and left. Dylan spoon-fed me the bitter syrup himself. Clumsy, overcautious, as if I might shatter. I stared at his bloodshot eyes and the blue-black stubble that had overtaken his jaw, a messy knot tightening in my chest. He obviously hadn't slept. I'm sorry. He looked straight at me, his third apology since sunrise. I shook my head. Talking hurt too much. He exhaled, brushed the back of his hand across my forehead. Rest. He nursed me the entire day. Water, soup, even peeling an apple. He insisted on doing it all. The apple ended up pitted and lopsided, a crime scene in fruit form. When Brielle dropped by and saw her brother wielding a paring knife over my bedside table, her eyes nearly popped. Bro, are you insane? You hate people touching your stuff. She meant the limited edition Swiss Army knife gleaming in his grip. Dylan flicked her a freezing glance. Noise. Brielle zipped her lips, but her gaze pinned me with pure what planet is this curiosity. 3 days flat I stayed in bed. For 3 days Dylan never left the suite. The drunken fiasco plus a vicious cold had tilted everything off its axis. The frost between us thawed. His words were still scarce, but his eyes had softened. He endured trashy rom-coms beside me, and when I dozed off I'd wake to find the blanket tucked under my chin. The second my fever broke, the system finally pinged again. Ding. Target's guilt index maxed out. Favorability plus 50. Current total, 75. I stared at the glowing number and felt zero triumph. I knew too well that those points were alloyed, cut with things I couldn't name. Maybe he was only nice out of guilt, or maybe I reminded him of someone he both adored and resented. I had to know. That night, while Dylan showered, I slipped into his study. The way he had demanded, "Who are you?" still gnawed at me. There had to be breadcrumbs here. One locked drawer. I tried birth dates, anniversary dates, passcodes from his company filings, nothing. On a hunch I typed the day I transmigrated into this novel world. Click. Inside lay nothing but an old leather journal. My pulse hammered as I opened the first page. It was my handwriting. X/X/20XX. Sunny. Today I died. Then I lived again. I fell into the CEO novel I'd skimmed. Became the sacrificial bride. Skye. My brain imploded. That was my diary. Why was it in Dylan's keeping? I kept turning pages. Dylan's every bit as cold and brutal as the book said. But I've got the system. Give him a baby, finish the quest, and I'll go home. Almost torched the kitchen today. Brielle's tongue should be classified as a lethal weapon. Dylan just ate fatty braised pork belly for me. He supposedly hates it. Maybe he likes me a little? Entry after entry. Every memory I'd lived here, recorded in real time. Cold dread slid down my spine. How long had the journal been here? When had he read it? Had he known everything from day one? The last page carried a single frantic line. Ink stabbed deep into the paper. I think I've actually fallen for him. I don't want to go home anymore. Dated the night before my cold hit. At that instant the study door opened. Dylan stood on the threshold, gaze dark and unreadable, fixing on the journal in my hands. Finished reading? I snapped the book shut like it burned. You knew all of it? My voice quavered. He walked over, took the journal, replaced it, turned the lock. Yes, I've always known. Calm, terrifyingly calm. From the minute you stepped into this house wearing Skye's face. I knew. The floor seemed to drop away. 5 years ago Skye, heiress of the Vance family, crashed into a coma in a highway accident. His words were a scalpel slicing open sealed skin. You, an echo from a parallel world, slipped into her body. You thought you transmigrated, but you only came home to the life you were meant for. You are not pretending to be Skye. You are Skye. The name rang a bell cracked raw in my ribcage. Images surged, twisted metal, hospital bleach, machines beeping ice-cold beats, and a boy sobbing over my motionless hand. That boy, Dylan. Pieces coming back. He searched my face. Sorrow absolute. 5 years ago there were 2 of us in that car. You shielded me. Your head took the hit. Doctors said you might never open your eyes again. Your psyche, desperate to escape the pain, built itself a novel world and fled there. I hired the best neuro team on earth and built the so-called system you're gaming. Every line you scribble in that diary uploads to me in real time. I study you, feed you missions, steer you toward loving me again, because only a fierce will to live could haul you back to consciousness. The baby quest, the white moonlight aura, props, reasons to anchor you here. I needed you to want to stay. Tears flooded down my cheeks. I couldn't even lift a hand to stop them. Then, the diary. You wrote it right before the crash. When you woke inside the fantasy, your mind recast it as a transmigration log. So why? I dragged in air. Why did you say you hated me? A broken smile tugged at his mouth. He wiped my tears with his thumbs. I don't hate you. I hate myself. For failing to keep you safe, for letting you endure all of it. Every time you look at me with those trusting eyes and call me Dylan like I'm just another mission, it guts me. I wanted to shout, I'm not some fictional Dylan, I'm your Asian. And you aren't a placeholder. You're my Nyen Nyen. He folded me against his chest. I felt him trembling. Nyen Nyen, welcome home. My heart slammed against my ribs. I nodded, hard, burying my face in his shirt. Later we threw a second wedding, grander than the first. I walked down the aisle in a cloud-white wedding gown, step by measured step toward the boy who had never left me. Under the glare of chandeliers he stretched out his hand, eyes rimmed red. When we slid the rings on, he bent and whispered, Nyen Nyen, I've finally given back every second I lost of you.